morning, everyone. In today's class, we will study the fourth basic variance, fixed overhead variance. Now, I know that this variance is a bit tough for you guys because of the n number of formulas that we have to learn. But we are the lazy guys. We don't want to study n number of formulas. If there was one easy method to do the problems on fixed overhead variance, it would be really nice, right? I have just the right medicine for you, the magic grid. And believe it or not, if you study the magic grid, you will be able to do the problems on fixed overhead variance even faster than those hardworking lawyers. And I'm sure that you would have heard what Bill Gates said. I always choose the lazy people to do a difficult job because they will devise a simple method of doing things. So since we have a simple method, why go for the difficult job? So I'll be explaining the concepts first, and then I will get to the magic grid. So stay tuned till then. So we will start off with the examples of fixed overheads. One of the example for fixed overheads is the factory rent. And the second example is the factory supervisor's salary. Now, if you see the nature of these expenses, whether it is factory rent or the factory supervisor's salary, it remains fixed. It will not vary with the changes in the production. Even if we are producing 1 unit or even if we are producing 500 units, the amount that is paid as rent and the factory supervisor's salary remains the same. Having said that, the fixed overheads can be accounted in two different ways. One is the absorption costing method, and the second one is the marginal costing method. So we will first start off with absorption costing, and please bear in mind that in absorption costing, a portion of the fixed overheads is treated as part of the product cost. Now suppose the product that you are manufacturing is teddy bears. So each teddy bear's cost will include the fixed overheads also. This is the striking feature of absorption costing. So first, let's see how this fixed overhead cost per unit is arrived at under absorption costing, because that is where the crux of the variance analysis lies for fixed overhead variances. Now let's assume that the only fixed overheads that we have is the factory supervisor's salary, and it amounts to $1,000. And let's also assume that the product that we are manufacturing is teddy bears and the budgeted production. What do you mean by budgeted production? Budgeted production is nothing but the planned production. Say it is 100 units. So what is a fixed overhead cost per unit? Fixed overhead cost per unit is $1,000 divided by 100 or $10 per unit, right? Now, the fixed overhead cost per unit is also known as the overhead absorption rate or the OAR. So what is the OAR per unit? It is budgeted fixed overheads divided by the budgeted units of production. That is 1,000 divided by 100 or $10 per unit. Now, what exactly is this 10 per unit? It simply means that each time you produce a teddy bear, an amount of $10 hits the P&L because fixed overhead is also a part of the product cost. Understood? So right now we have a budgeted fixed overheads of $1,000, a budgeted production of 100 units of teddy bear, and the OAR works out to $10 per unit. Now we will see what happens when the actual production takes place. So the details that I am going to accumulate is: what is the actual production? What is the budgeted fixed overheads? What is the absorbed fixed overheads? That's the amount that hits the P&L account. What is the actual fixed overheads? Actual fixed overheads is nothing but the amount of cash that we pay for the fixed overheads. Okay. And finally, the variance. These are the details that I'm going to calculate once the actual production starts. So now suppose the production is 100 units. That is, it is exactly equal to the budgeted production. So what is a budgeted fixed overheads? Budgeted fixed overheads doesn't change. It's always $1,000 because that's budgeted at the beginning of the year. So $1,000. Now, what is the absorbed fixed overheads? Absorbed fixed overheads is nothing but the amount that hits the P&L as and when the production takes place. So the production is 100 units, and for each unit, it is $10 that hits the P&L. So for 100 units, it is 100 into 10 or $1,000 that hits the P&L account. And what is the actual fixed overheads? The fixed overheads is the salary that we are paying to the supervisor lady. So what was that? That was again $1,000. So the actual fixed overheads is also $1,000. So do we have a variance there? Absolutely not. The budgets, the absorbed, the actual, all are same when the actual production is 100 units and the actual fixed overheads is $1,000. That is, it exactly matches the budgeted production of 100 units and the budgeted fixed overheads of $1,000. So we don't have a problem. Variance is 0. Now let's assume a situation where we are not able to produce this 100 units and the number of teddy bears that we actually produced is only 80. So what is the actual production? Actual production is 80 units. And what is the budgeted fixed overheads? Budgeted fixed overheads remains at $1,000. Now tell me, what is the absorbed fixed overheads? For each unit of production, it is $10 that is getting absorbed. So if we are producing 80 units, what is the amount that is getting absorbed? It is 80 into 10 or $800. But what is the amount that we pay to the supervisor lady? That still remains at $1,000. So what is the variance? Just because we produced only 80 units and not the budgeted production of 100 units, the amount that has hit the P&L account is just $800. And what is the amount of the variance? It is 1,000 minus 800 or $200, and it is an adverse variance because that much more should hit the P&L account. And this variance caused by a change in the volume of output is known as the volume variance, given by the formula absorbed overheads minus budgeted fixed overheads. Absorbed overheads is 800 and budgeted fixed overheads is 1,000. So we get an amount of 800 minus 1,000 or $200 adverse. Now the reverse is also true. If there is overproduction, that is, instead of 80 units, if we produce 150 units, that is more than the budgeted production, then it will be a favorable variance. Now the fixed overheads that we assumed is the salary that is paid to the supervisor lady. Now the supervisor lady, one fine day, she comes up and says, I have got a new job. So I cannot work here for $1,000 salary. I need a salary hike. And the salary that I am demanding is $1,500. This was not something that we had budgeted. So now let's see how it will be affected in the variance analysis. So assume that the actual production is again 80 units. Okay, there is an underproduction and budgeted fixed overheads remains at $1,000. That will not change. What is the absorbed fixed overheads? It is 80 units multiplied by 10 or $800. And what is the actual fixed overheads? Since this lady is very efficient, we have to agree to her demands. We have to pay her 1,500 salary. So the actual amount that we are going to pay to this lady is $1,500. So here two problems have come in. One is there is an underproduction of 20 units. That is, we have produced only 80 units instead of 100 units. So the volume variance that we saw earlier, that is the $200 adverse, will anyway come. Okay, so I'm going to write that. Volume variance is definitely $200 in this situation also. And what about this extra $500 that this lady demanded? That is also causing a variance, right? Because initially we planned $1,000 as a fixed overheads. But because this lady has asked for a salary hike, we are forced to pay $1,500, which means that we have paid an extra $500, and it is known by the name expenditure variance, and it is given by the formula budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. And what is the amount? It is 1,000 minus 1,500 or $500 adverse. So here we have got two variances. One is because of the volume, that is $200 adverse, and the other is because of the increase in expense of $500 adverse. So what is the total fixed overhead variance? It is 200 adverse plus 500 adverse, giving an amount of $700. So total fixed overhead variance as a formula, if we write, it is absorbed fixed overheads minus the actual fixed overhead. So we should get an amount of $700. Let's check. So it is absorbed fixed overheads minus the actual fixed overheads. that is 800 minus 1,500 or $700 adverse, which means that the total is perfectly matching. That is, it is $200 plus $500, giving a total variance of $700. So in short, we can say that the total fixed overhead variance can be divided into two. One is the volume variance and the second one is the expenditure variance. So I'm writing a total variance of $700 adverse in the table. Now we will do the very same example with the magic grid. So this is the grid that I was talking about. Now in the middle row, we have budgeted units of production, OAR per unit, and the budgeted fixed overheads. Now we all know that the budgeted units of production multiplied by the OAR per unit is the budgeted fixed overheads. So that is a relation that exists in that row. Now we have the actual fixed overheads on the top right, and we know that budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads is expenditure variance. On the bottom row, we have the actual units of production. And again, if you multiply it with the OAR per unit, we get the absorbed fixed overheads. That is, actual units of production multiplied by OAR per unit, you get the absorbed fixed overheads. That's the amount that hits the P&L account. And what is absorbed fixed overheads minus budgeted fixed overheads? That is nothing but the volume variance. And what is the total fixed overhead variance? It is absorbed fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. And always note that if the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance. So whenever you get a problem on fixed overhead variance, please write the grid. So these are the position of the elements. Now we will attempt the example with the help of the grid. So this is the example that we had attempted earlier. The budgeted fixed overheads was $1,000. That is a salary of the supervisor lady that we had budgeted. Budgeted units of production was 100 units, and coming to actual, we actually produced only 80 units, and the actual fixed overheads was $1,500 because the lady had asked for a salary hike. Calculate fixed overhead variances. Now we will key in these figures in the format. So budgeted fixed overheads is $1,000. That is here. So I'm going to write there 1,000. Budgeted units is 100 units. That is here. So I'm going to write there 100. And actual units produced, that is here. So I'm going to write there 80. And actual fixed overheads is 1,500. That is here. So I'm going to write there 1,500. So now we have keyed in all the details from the question. Now we will look at the missing figures. What is the OAR per unit? It is budgeted fixed overheads divided by budgeted units of production, or 1,000 divided by 100. So it is $10. So we can copy the very same figure here also. So that is also $10. So what is the absorbed fixed overheads? It is actual units of production multiplied by OAR. We get the absorbed fixed overheads. So it is 80 into 10. That is $800. Now all the figures in the grid are complete. Now we will calculate the variances. Now fixed overhead expenditure variance is 1,500 minus 1,000. And since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of 500. Now coming to volume variance, it is 1,000 minus 800. And since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of 200. And coming to fixed overhead total variance, it is 1,500 minus 800. And since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of $700. Now let's cross check. 500 adverse expenditure variance plus 200 adverse volume variance gives the total variance of 700 adverse. So our answer is right. Now the way in which we have calculated the variance is from the right side. Now there are certain elements on the left side too. We could calculate the variance from the left side also, but please note, on the right side, it is a dollar amount, and on the left side, it is a units amount. So whenever we calculate the variance, we need the amount in dollar. So now let's calculate the volume variance from the left side. It is 100 minus 80 units. So we get the variance in units. What is the difference? It is 20 units. But we don't want the variance in units. We want to convert it into dollar. So 20 units multiplied by OAR, we get 200. And it's an adverse variance because the top figure is more. So that is what I have written here, 100 minus 80 into 10. And since the top figure is more, that is 100 is more, it is an adverse variance of $200. So we get the very same answer of 200 adverse even if we calculate from the left side. But the only thing you have to put in mind is it is to be converted into dollar terms. Don't just reduce 100 minus 80 because that you will get only in units. You have to convert that into dollar terms by multiplying with the OAR per unit. Now what we have to learn is the split up of the volume variance into the capacity and the efficiency variance. Now what exactly was volume variance? It is the variance which is caused by an under or overproduction when compared to the budgets. What could be the two reasons for underproduction? One, the laborers are very inefficient. That is, they are very slow, that they are not able to produce the required number of units. That is efficiency. Given by the formula, standard hours minus the actual hours multiplied by the OAR per hour. Now coming to the next component of volume variance, what could be the other reason for underproduction? Now suppose there was a sharp fall in the demand of the product, and definitely the laborers will reduce production. In such a case, it is the capacity of the organization which is not utilized. So this is known by the term capacity variance, given by the formula actual hours minus the budgeted hours multiplied by OAR per hour. This measures the capacity utilization. So as I said, the volume variance is divided into two. One is the efficiency variance, where we see whether the time taken by the laborers is more or less than the standard. And as far as the capacity variance is concerned, whether the capacity of the organization is getting utilized. If the capacity was fully utilized, we would have taken the budgeted hours. So these are the two formulas that we have to learn. But instead of learning the format by heart, we will incorporate these formulas also in our grid and then tackle the problems. So this is the grid that we have already learned, where we studied the expenditure variance and the volume variance. Now, what do we want to incorporate? We want to incorporate the split up of the volume variance into the capacity and the efficiency variance. So what we will do is we will replicate the grid. Just remember the word basket. What are the first three alphabets of the word basket? BAS. B standing for budgeted hours, A standing for actual hours, and S standing for standard hours. This is what you have to fill on the left side, BAS. Then we write the OAR in the center, just like we did OAR per unit in the center of the original grid. Here we have to write the OAR per hour in the center. So what is the relationship? Budgeted hours multiplied by OAR per hour. What will you get? Budgeted fixed overheads. Likewise, standard hours multiplied by OAR per hour. What will you get? You get the absorbed fixed overheads. So if you see here, volume variance is budgeted fixed overheads minus absorbed fixed overheads. In the second grid, which is a replica of the original one, here also we have the volume variance, that is budgeted fixed overheads minus the absorbed fixed overheads. If you key in all the figures that we have from the question in this grid, you can find out any variance relating to fixed overhead. So we will do a problem where we have to calculate the split up of the volume variance into the capacity and the efficiency variance. In this format, whenever you calculate the variance, if the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance. And left variances, what do you mean by left variances? Whenever you are calculating the variances on the left, please note that that is not given in dollar terms. So whenever you calculate the variances on the left side, you have to multiply with the OAR to get the dollar value. On the top, you have to multiply with the OAR per unit. And in the bottom grid, you have to multiply with the OAR per hour. Only then you will get the variance in dollar, or you will get the variance either in units or in hours, which is not the right answer. Now, what was the formula of the capacity variance? It is actual hours minus the budgeted hours into the OAR per hour. So where do we have the actual and the budgeted hours? It is here. So the capacity variance should be written here. That is actual hours minus budgeted hours multiplied by the OAR per hour. Now coming to the second formula, that is efficiency variance. It is standard hours minus the actual hours multiplied by OAR per hour. So we have the standard hours and the actual hours here. So the efficiency variance should be written here. That is standard hours minus the actual hours multiplied by the OAR per hour. Always remember that whenever the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance. Now, there are 4 row-wise relationships that exist in the grid. That is, budgeted units of production multiplied by OAR per unit, you get the budgeted fixed overheads. Actual units of production multiplied by OAR per unit, you get the absorbed fixed overheads. Budgeted hours multiplied by OAR per hour, you get the budgeted fixed overheads. And standard hours multiplied by OAR per hour, you get the absorbed fixed overheads. Now there are 2 column-wise relationships also, that is budgeted units of production multiplied by standard hours per unit, we get the budgeted hours. And the actual units of production multiplied by the standard hours per unit, we get the standard hours. Due to the 6 relationships that exist in the grid, that is 4 row-wise relationships and 2 column-wise relationships, I always advise the students to use the grid method to solve problems on fixed overhead variances. Because if you use the formula method, the interrelationship between the various elements will not strike you easily. Now let's do a complete problem on fixed overhead variances. So these are the details of the question. We have the budgets and the actuals, and we are asked to find out all fixed overhead variances. Now we will key in the details that are given in the question into the grid. So the first detail that have been given is the budgeted hours 8,400. Budgeted hours is here, so I'm going to key in 8,400 there. And then comes the actual hours of 7,980. That is here, so I'm going to key in 7,980. And the budgeted number of units is 1,200. That is here. So I'll be keying in that figure there. And the actual number of units is 1,100. That is here. So I will be keying in that too. And fixed overheads budgets is 22260. That is here. So I'll be keying in that. Now the actual fixed overheads is 25536. We have to write that here. Now budgeted fixed overheads is coming here also. So I'm going to jot down that figure too. So now we have noted down all the figures that are available in the question. Now we will fill up the missing figures. Now what is OAR per unit? It is 22260 divided by 1,200. That is 18.55. Now we write the OAR per unit in the circle beneath it, that is 18.55. Now coming to the absorbed fixed overheads, it is 1,100 into 18.55. Giving an amount of 20,405. Now the OAR per hour is 22260 divided by 8,400, giving an amount of 2.65. Now OAR per hour should come here too, so I'm writing 2.65 there. Now we have already calculated the absorbed fixed overheads here, so I'm copying that figure, 20,405. Now standard hours is 20,405 divided by 2.65 or 7,700 hours. So we have filled all the details in the grid. Now we can calculate the variances. What is capacity variance? It is 8,400 minus 7,980. We get the variance in hours multiplied by the OAR per hour of 2.65. So capacity variance is 1,113 adverse because the top figure is more. Now coming to efficiency variance, it is 7,980 minus 7,700 multiplied by 2.65, and since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of 742. Now coming to the expenditure variance, it is 25536 minus 22260, and since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of 3,276. Now coming to the volume variance, it is 22260 minus 2405. And since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of 1,855. Now fixed overhead total variance, it is 25,536 minus 2405. And since the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance of $5,131. Now we have to cross-check the volume variance because it is the total of capacity variance and efficiency variance. So let's cross-check. 1,113 adverse plus 742 adverse gives a result of 1,855 adverse. So our answers are right. Now, in order to solve the grid, we have used the row-wise relationship. Now, we could also find out the standard hours, that is 7,700, by using the columnar relationship. What is a columnar relationship? Actual units of production multiplied by standard hours per unit will give you the SH, or the total standard hours. So what is the standard hours per unit? That we can find out from the question. If you see, budgeted hours is 8,400 and budgeted production in units is 1,200. So what is the standard hours? It is 8,400 divided by 1,200, or 7 hours per unit. If you multiply 1,100 by 7 hours, we get an amount of 7,700. That is the total standard hours. So either way, you can find out SH. All that you have to put in mind when you solve the grid is the row-wise relationship. There are 4 row-wise relationships, that is budgeted units of production multiplied by OAR per unit gives the budgeted fixed overheads. Actual units of production multiplied by OAR per unit gives the absorbed fixed overheads. Budgeted hours multiplied by OAR per hour gives the budgeted fixed overheads. And the standard hours multiplied by OAR per hour gives the absorbed fixed overheads. And there are 2 column-wise relationships, that is budgeted units of production multiplied by the standard hours per unit gives you the budgeted hours, and the actual units of production multiplied by standard hours per unit gives you the standard hours. This is the only thing that you have to put in mind while solving the grid. Now, what we just studied is the fixed overhead variances for absorption costing. Now, there is one more method of accounting for fixed overheads, that's marginal costing. Now, marginal costing method is relatively easy because there is no calculation of the overhead absorption rate. That is, the fixed overheads will not form part of the product cost. So there is just one variance that we have to study for marginal costing, and that is fixed overhead expenditure variance. Okay, so that is only the top portion of the grid is required for marginal costing. And what is fixed overhead expenditure variance? It is actual fixed overheads minus budgeted fixed overheads. And if the top figure is more, it is an adverse variance. Now I will just show the grid that we studied under absorption costing as the final slide, so that when you have a revision, you can just look into that slide, because all the details pertaining to the fixed overhead variances are included in that slide. So that will help you a great deal.